The Independent Commission Against Corruption, an independent agency of the Government of New South Wales, is responsible for eliminating and investigating corrupt activities and enhancing the integrity of the public administration in the state of New South Wales, Australia. The commission was established in 1989, pursuant to the Independent Commission Against Corruption Act, 1988, modelled after the ICAC in Hong Kong. It is led by a chief commissioner appointed for a fixed 5-year term, and 2 part-time commissioners. Former NSW Premier Mike Baird suggested in November 2016 his desire to move from a sole commissioner to a 3-commissioner system. However, this was strongly criticized by 2 former ICAC commissioners as weakening and politicizing the organization, leading to the resignation of then Commissioner Megan Latham. On the 21st of April 2017, former Supreme Court Judge Peter Hall QC was appointed as the Chief Commissioner. 2 part-time commissioners were appointed with effect from the 7th of August 2017. The Chief Commissioner is required to submit a report on the activities of the Commission to the Parliament of New South Wales and whilst independent of the politics of government, reports informally to the Premier of New South Wales. The Commission is charged with educating public authorities, officials and members of the public about corruption. The Inspector of the Independent Commission Against Corruption is an independent statutory officer, whose role and functions is to hold the ICAC accountable in the way it carries out its function. The Inspector's role are set out in Part 5A of the ICAC Act. The Inspector is not answerable to ICAC in any way and is located in physically separate premises from the ICAC. The Inspector's role includes undertaking audits of the ICAC's operations to ensure compliance with the law, dealing with complaints about the conduct of the ICAC and current and former officers, and assessing the effectiveness and appropriateness of the ICAC's procedures. The Inspector has extensive powers to investigate the conduct of the ICAC and its officers, including obtaining documents from the ICAC and requiring ICAC officers to attend before him and answer questions. The Inspector can also sit as a Royal Commissioner in order to conduct investigations. As a Royal Commissioner, the Inspector has extensive powers to compel witnesses to provide evidence. The Inspector can deal with complaints about the conduct of the ICAC or its officers which concern abuses of power, impropriety, misconduct of any kind, lengthy delays in investigation and maladministration. Under the ICAC Act, maladministration is defined as action or inaction of a serious nature that is contrary to law, or unreasonable, unjust, oppressive or improperly discriminatory, or based wholly or partly on improper motives. The ICAC has jurisdiction over state and local government in New South Wales. This extends to parliamentarians, local councillors, the Governor of New South Wales, public servants, and staff of universities and state-owned corporations. Anyone can refer a matter to the Commission. In 2014, it was estimated that less than 1% out of around 3,000 complaints annually result in a public hearing. The Commission has the coercive powers of a Royal Commission and can compel witnesses to testify. Public hearings are designed to act as a preventative measure against corruption. Where the ICAC rules that an official has acted corruptly, the charges are referred to the criminal justice system for consideration by the Director of Public Prosecutions to lay criminal charges. There are only limited controls on admissible evidence, which may be obtained by compulsion and coercion or other means that would make it inadmissible in a court of law. Often evidence used in ICAC cases cannot subsequently be used in related criminal proceedings. There is no right to silence for witnesses called to the Commission, and failure to testify can lead to 5-year jail terms. While the ICAC cannot impose custodial sentences, it can recommend that criminal charges be considered by the Department of Public Prosecution. In practice, it has achieved very few convictions following its investigations and has had key findings such as that against former Premier Greiner found as going beyond its powers, as well as its inquisitorial powers. ICAC has telephone intercept powers. From its establishment until November 2016, the ICAC was led by a single commissioner, who, although the agency belongs within the New South Wales Premier's department, reported directly to the presiding officers of the Parliament of New South Wales. The commissioner served a single 5-year term and cannot be dismissed except by the governor. Following the passage of the Independent Commission Against Corruption Amendment Act 2016, the agency was reconstituted as a 3-member commission, comprising a chief commissioner and 2 other commissioners, and in order for a public